Welcome to Films and Stuff with your hosts, Pete Mitchell and Ethan Hunt.
All right, Pete. How are you today?
I'm great, Ethan. How are you?
Good. Tell me what you've been doing this weekend and what you've been watching.
All right. So I have been actually quite diligent about knocking some of these shows and movies off of our list to watch.
Yeah, our list is getting big. We've got to really be diligent to get these done, right?
Yeah, I think, we're only in May right now, and year to date, we've seen like 41 movies and TV shows. So pretty significant. Pretty significant.
It is.
Now,
people cannot accuse us of being lazy.
That's true. That's true. Now, having said that, there are times where I can watch a show that you haven't seen and you've watched a show that I haven't seen, whether it's a movie or a TV series.
That's true.
So I think what might be good is to give an individual scoring and summary / review now. And that will either help you decide if that's something you want to continue watching or not watching, but it'll also give a little bit of context to our listeners that, we've been watching some of these other shows that you haven't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So why don't we start with some of the movies?
Yeah, let's start with a movie that we've both seen recently, which is Operation Mincemeat.
Yes, that's a good idea. So it's not something that we think is going to have its own episode about. And that's what this podcast is really about, is for us to kind of give you a quickfire summary and a quickfire review of these movies. And so that we'll just give you our scores with a very brief summary, and then you can decide if that's something you want to watch or not.
That's true. So this is Operation Mincemeat, starring Colin Firth and Matthew Macfadyen. Matthew Macfadyen we've seen as Tom on Succession, right? Colin Firth we've seen in so much good stuff. This is based on a true story of a top secret British false flag operation in World War II. I think you're a bigger history nut than I am, right, Pete?
Yeah, I wouldn't have expected it to, but after having watched this movie, that's the conclusion I came to, because I generally like movies based on true events, especially of World War II. Not so much others, but definitely of World War II. Like E0056, and I can't even think of them others, but these movies are always interesting to me, even though I didn't think they would be.
Yep. So what's your rating for this movie?
My rating for this movie is, it came out in the cinemas very recently in the UK, but I think that it's worth a watch, but not necessarily in the cinema. I would say wait for it to hit streaming and then definitely watch it when you can.
I agree. If you like things based on true stories, and if you like kind of the British World War II time frame, if those are your things, it's definitely a story worthwhile at home. But if you are not interested in that type of time period or that type of era, or kind of the British setting, skip it. You won't be worse off.
So what is it for you? Is it a skip, or is it a wait for subscription?
For me, it's a wait. For me, it's a wait. It's a true story, so I was like kind of listening to true stories. Actually, if it was pure fiction, I would say it's a skip. But the fact that it's based on a true story, and it is a kind of well-known top secret mission. So for me, it's a wait.
Perfect. I also happened to watch Fantastic Beasts 3, The Secrets of Dumbledore.
Oh, I didn't see it. Tell me about it.
So I was a fan of the Harry Potter books. I think this is, in my opinion, not a great movie for a variety of reasons.
Okay.
It is certainly not a movie that I think that if you're a Harry Potter fan, you should definitely go out and watch in the cinema. For me, it's a wait for streaming. I'm sure it'll come on to one of the streaming platforms relatively soon. It stars Mads Mikkelsen, who replaces Johnny Depp.
Oh, yeah.
Because of all the various Johnny Depp problems, and he plays Grindelwald, and you have Jude Law playing Dumbledore, and you have Eddie Redmayne, who plays Newt Scamander, the movie has really veered away from Newt Scamander. So even though the series was about Eddie Redmayne's character, it is no longer. It is really veered towards Dumbledore and Grindelwald. It's interesting, but it's not Harry. It's certainly not Harry Potter, which is why I don't recommend you rush out and watch it. If you're at all a fan of the universe, as I am, I think it's still worth watching when it gets onto streaming.
So let me just break it down. If you are a Harry Potter fan, you should see this. But if you have not watched Harry Potter, it won't stop you from understanding and following the storyline, right?
Correct. You do not have to have watched any of the Harry Potter movies. That in that way, Fantastic Beasts is very much its own series. They've been very good about that. Okay. But like some of the MCU movies, of course, there are references to some people and characters that you'll appreciate more if you've watched the previous movies. What about something else we have watched together? The Northman?
The Northman, yes. Actually, I have to say, generally I'm into the Viking, Nordic genre. So this was kind of originally interesting to me, and I like Alexander Skarsgård, who is the title character. And I read a few things, or I've seen a few things about like how much that he is bulked up for this role. So to be honest, I kind of wanted to see him and see like how huge he got. I remember that he was huge in Tarzan, and then he did some other like television stuff like Big Little Liars, and he was kind of like more normal size, but I heard that he got like really huge for this. So I watched it, but I have to say for me it's a skip. At best, it's wait for it to come out on video. How about you?
For me, it's a wait for it to come to streamer. I certainly found it interesting. It's very much Nordic version of Hamlet, if you will. In fact, Skarsgård's character's name is Amlet. So there's definitely some linking there or references to each other there. It's based on some Nordic mythology, based on true mythology. It's very visceral. It's very dark. It's very gritty.
Yeah.
So literally dark in some scenes. Yeah. It's a quirky movie, definitely worth watching, but I wouldn't have rushed out to the cinema to watch it.
Yeah. Actually, the way that you described it was really clever, which is, a lot of the Viking movies, I guess I'm thinking of Vikings or Valhalla, something like this, they deal a little bit more with kind of like day-to-day dramas, and then obviously there's a lot of fighting. I found the Northman is a little bit more into like kind of the mysticism and
exactly the religious aspects of it.
Yeah, the religious and some of those like offering aspects. And for me, those are like my lesser favorite parts of kind of the Viking shows. So again, for me, it's a skip. But again, at best, if you're really into this stuff, wait for video, not cinema at all.
Right.
Good cast, though. Very good cast.
Great
Ethan Hawke,
cast.
Nicole Kidman, Anna Taylor-Joy. Like that's William Dafoe. It's a very good cast.
Very good cast. I recommend it. But again, I recommend it as a watch at home. I don't think you need to go out to the cinema to watch this. And frankly speaking, I don't know how it goes. That's a testament to how offbeat it is, which is to say that, while we are all very well versed or reasonably well versed with, more quote unquote common mythologies such as Greek and Roman mythology, this takes a dive into Nordic mythology. And again, the only reason I was really well aware of what was going on is because, again, there's a lot of parallels to Shakespeare's Hamlet. And therefore, I was able to understand what was going on. But I can fully imagine that, unless you were really, really focused and paying attention, there are some things that won't make sense to you.
You're much stronger on kind of Shakespearean literature than I am. So I think you appreciated it more than I would have.
Everything Everywhere at Once.
Yeah, I did not see this, but you told me about it. It's called Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah.
Sell it to me. What is it?
It is the latest movie with Michelle Yeoh. who I'm a huge fan of. So that already big points there. And it also stars, surprise to a lot of people, it also stars I can't pronounce this correctly, K. Kwan, who you'll all remember him as Short Round from Indiana Jones.
Yeah, long time that we haven't seen him in another movie, right?
Exactly. And he's done other shows in between as well, but he took what was effectively like a 20-year hiatus from Hollywood and from acting because he really believed that, Asian actors weren't being depicted very well. And, there was really very little space for them in Hollywood. And of course, we've seen a cultural shift in Hollywood. I think he was convinced to come on to this, not just because it's a good movie and a good story, but I think also because it's a much fairer and accurate representation of Asians and Asian Americans.
So he was Short Round in Indiana Jones, and then the subsequent year he was
Goonies, I think?
Data from the Goonies.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, those were two very, very popular movies in the early 80s. I mean, and then you didn't see him in anything. He had like one or two things in the 90s, and that's it. So that's quite a long break, but he's back. Looks good. How did you like him in this?
So I thought he was very good. I think all the actors were very, very good. It's not a story that personally resonates with me for several reasons. One of which is that I am not a mother with a teenage daughter. And really, it comes down to this being a story about your family and your family's expectations. But what I think is really good, and if you've seen the trailer, it's really also about the multiverse. And it's ironic because the timing of this, comes out reasonably close to the same time as Doctor Strange 2. This movie, I think, does a more complicated but potentially better job of showing you the multiverse. I think Doctor Strange 2 is a much more simplistic idea of this multiverse, and conceptually, in terms of concept, the idea of the multiverse and the way it's presented in this movie, it's not easy, or at least it wasn't for me. Maybe that says more about me than it does about this movie, but it took me a while to really understand it. And it's about Michelle Yeoh, who's basically trying to reconnect with her family. She's struggling, and it's this multiverse that kind of gets her to really understand what's going on in her life. It is definitely a movie I recommend you all watch. I think it's excellent, but I do think that it's not one to watch in the cinema because you will want to have time to understand what's going on. You will want to be able to pause the movie to really think about it. And in terms of the action sequences, in terms of the story, there are some really funny things. There are some great laugh out loud moments. There's some, as you would expect for someone like Michelle Yeoh, excellent action sequences. I really think it's definitely worth a watch.
Wow. Strong recommendation. Maybe I'll have to take a look. Okay. We've got time for one more film before we turn our attention to shows. What do you want to... Sonic 2?
Sonic 2 is the other one that I saw.
Yeah. Yep.
So Sonic 2, in terms of movies, was the last one I saw. It's a continuation of the first Sonic movie. It is an okay movie if you're a fan of the video games and the cartoons. I rate it as a wait for subscribe. It's certainly not something that you want to rush out to the cinema to see. There's some great visual effects. There's some great voice acting. Yeah. It's a funny story. Some things are good. Some things are bad. It's not, it's not going to be, I fully expect that it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but if you saw Sonic 1 and enjoyed it, you will likely enjoy this. It's not something that you want, unless you have children, it's not something that you want to rush out to the cinema to watch.
So I saw it and I thought Jim Carrey, that's exactly the type of character Jim Carrey should play. I think
fantastic. Jim Carrey of the 90s. Actually. This was Jim Carrey of the 90s.
Yeah. I would say if you do not have kids, skip this movie. It's not that interesting. You won't laugh, although it's not miserable. However, if you have kids and you've got to take them to the cinema and sit through 2 hours of movie, or if you've got to rent something and sit through it, I would say Sonic 2 is an absolutely acceptable choice. You won't be like having thoughts of like harming yourself if you have to sit through this with your son or daughter for 2 hours. But again, if you don't have kids, absolutely skip this.
I think ultimately what we're saying is watch it at home. Even if you have kids, even if you don't have kids, you can keep it on in the background. Yeah. You will definitely be very happy with Jim Carrey. He steals the movie.
Vintage Carrey.
Perfect. So that's a wait for streaming for both of us. And that's it in terms of movies.
That's it for movies.
What about shows?
We knocked out 5. Yeah. Shows. Should we say The Lincoln Lawyer, which is on Netflix, based on the book by Michael Crichton. It's back. It used to be, it was a movie with Matthew McConaughey and Marissa Tomei long back. Mm-hmm. Now it's back. Totally new cast. The only person I recognize is Neve Campbell.
Yes.
Party of 5 and Scream.
His first wife.
His first wife. But I have to say, like, honestly, the show is, for me, it's a strong mooch. It is background, I guess, fodder, which I mean to say that it's something that you don't have to be staring at the screen and hanging on every word to understand the plot. You could be going about your routines. You could be checking email. You could be cooking. You could be walking in and out of the room, get a glass of water. You're not going to miss anything where you have to kind of go back. But if you're looking for something just to kind of like unwind after a long day, absolutely, it's worth a mooch, not a worth your money just to subscribe to Netflix only for this, however.
And for me, I'm also a fan. I am actually going to go one step further. I thought it was a great show.
Whoa.
I really enjoyed Lincoln Lawyer. I'm when it comes to books, I read a lot because when I travel a lot, I like to read. And I don't like to read like these nonfiction books. I don't like to read these business management books. None of that stuff. Give me a schlock.
John Grisham fan right here.
Legal. Give me a legal drama. Give me a action drama. Give me a spy thriller. These are the things I love to read. So if you see me on the bus or if you see me on the tube or if you see me on a flight, 9 times out of 10, I'll have my Kindle out and I'll be reading something schlocky like this. And I love it. And I thought it was very good. So for me, it is a must subscribe to Netflix.
Wow.
I will also go
one step.
I will go one step further and make this a double header because I know you've also seen this. This is the same. I will apply exactly the same thing, but for a different show called Reacher on Amazon Prime.
Oh, all right.
Also based on a series of books by Lee Child, I think.
Yes.
And we saw Tom Cruise actually did 2 movies, but this is totally different based on a different set of books, different stories, same character. Loved it. And for that reason, I also gave Reacher a must subscribe to Amazon Prime.
Who is the actor who plays Reacher? Because I understand that he is actually physically, his name's Alan Ritchson. And I understand that he is actually like a pretty huge dude, right?
That's right. So in the books, Reacher is described as like 6'7". He's like 130 kilograms of pure muscle. And Alan, the actor, is actually like 6'5". He's much closer to the physical description. So like in terms of the looks, as compared to Tom Cruise, who is, well known in the industry as being very short, very athletic, but he's not known for being a big, bulky, muscular guy. That is the exact opposite. That's why there was a lot of controversy when Tom Cruise took on the Reacher role, because in terms of appearance of the character, he was the exact opposite. He's not blonde. He's not tall. He's not muscular. And whereas Reacher is, which is why Alan's portrayal of him was very good.
What other series are you watching right now?
What other series?
You're watching Barry. You're watching Barry, right?
I am watching Barry.
Tell me about Barry, because I started a long time back. We're on season 3 now. I saw a few episodes of season 1. Bill Hader is Barry. I never really got into it. Tell me about it. What's got you into season 3?
So season 3 of Barry is ongoing right now, and I'll be very frank. If you ask me about seasons 1 and 2, I would say it's been season 1. I would have said would have been you must subscribe to HBO Max. Season 2, I would have said you have to mooch someone's password, but you should watch it. And I think right now the way it's going, season 3 for me is going to be a skip it.
Oh.
In my opinion, the show has kind of declined in terms of watchability. It could also be because, and this is an inherent problem with streaming, is the shows come out at the streamer's behest. It's not a regular thing every year. So there was quite a gap between season 1 and 2, and then 2 and 3. And I'm just finding it getting really tough for me to get into Barry. I am not enjoying season 3.
Can you just summarize the premise? I remember the premise is he is a assassin, a contract killer.
That's right.
In Los Angeles, and he decides to start taking acting lessons, right?
Yes. So my mistake. It was Barry is a contract killer. He is a very good contract killer. He's an ex-military guy, and he comes to Hollywood to do a job. But you can tell that he's now getting really tired of doing this job. He doesn't like killing people. He hates it. And he doesn't like his job, even though he's very good at it. And to kind of escape that boredom and that feeling of ennui that he has, out of circumstance, he has to kill someone who's a member of this acting class. And he joins that acting class.
Oh, that's how it goes.
And he joins that acting class. And he finds that acting is something that he's actually very, very intrigued with. And it's something that's giving him, it's a passion that he didn't know he had. So he's trying to escape his life as a contract killer and become an actor, but he keeps getting pulled back into his contract killer past. And it's kind of a dark comedy that way. Premise-wise, I think it's excellent, but in terms of execution, I'm really not digging season 3 so far.
Yeah, I never got into it, and it doesn't seem like I'm going to after that.
Yeah, I think it could be. What I'm going to do is, for the benefit of doubt, I would say that Barry, by the end of it, is probably going to be a great series that you have as like a Q filler on HBO Max, which is like, you've got other stuff that you're doing. You're focusing on building a Lego set, or, you're focusing on something else, but you kind of want to have a show on in the background. Barry's probably a show you can do that with. Overall.
That seems like something if you're like on a long flight and you can't find anything else to watch.
Exactly.
And you see Barry, you're like, hey, I'll check out a couple episodes of Barry.
Yeah. So the earlier seasons I feel are very strong. It's gotten weak, but again, it could also just be, naturally after 4 years, you kind of get tired of a show. It could be that. So that's Barry. We both watched Russian Doll.
Oh, we both watched Russian Doll season 1. I did not start season 2 yet. I think it's wow, yeah?
So I finished season 1 and 2.
Wow.
I will say I love Russian Doll. I think season 1 is a must subscribe. It is a must subscribe to Netflix. It's a very good story. The premise is that it's Groundhog's Day, but in a very different, unique twist of Groundhog's Day.
Loop. Yep,
it's a time loop show starring Natasha Lyonne.
Yep.
And
from Orange is the New Black. Yeah, that's
from Orange is the New Black. And there's really not much more for me to say, just that in terms of premise, think of Groundhog's Day, but a much more adult version of it. I think season 1 is phenomenal. It is a must subscribe. Season 2, I'm not going to spoil for
me. Don't spoil
Ethan.
It for me. Yeah.
I don't want to spoil it for Ethan, but I think he's going to really enjoy it.
All right. Excited.
What else have we watched? Slow Horses on Apple TV?
Slow Horses, Apple TV Plus. What do you think? I mean, this is your typical British MI5, cloak and dagger, so many plot twists and turns. Gary Oldman, a couple of other folks are in it. You loved it?
I loved it, but I will say that it's not, for me, it was great. And I'm super happy that I have Apple TV Plus. I would have regretted not seeing it, but I don't think the show on its own is strong enough to justify subscribing to.
I agree with everything you just said. It's definitely worth watching, worth mooching. Don't pay money only for the show.
It is phenomenal. The acting is very good. It is, if you're into political spy thrillers, this is it, and this is it in spades.
Yeah.
I think this could have been a movie rather than a 6-episode TV show, and I think it would have been a movie I would have definitely wanted to watch as a must-see on the cinema. But I think it's a slightly slower paced, which again, for a spy thriller is actually a good thing, not a bad thing. But for me, I would say you should watch it if you have Apple TV Plus, or if you know someone who does, you should take their password to definitely watch that.
Yep. Well done. Well done. Agree. What about We Crashed? Also on Apple TV Plus. Have you watched that?
I have not yet. Have you?
Jared Leto plays. So We Crashed is based on the We Work real life story.
Okay.
Jared Leto is playing Adam Newman, who is the infamous co-founder, and Anne Hathaway is playing Rebecca Newman. His wife, Rebecca Newman, in real life is a cousin of Gwyneth Paltrow, and she is mentioned, at least in passing. It's a very good cast. It's very, very well done and produced. And as far as I'm aware, Jared and Anne very faithfully play their title characters. However, I have put this down only because I find that the WeWork story is pretty tragic and a little bit repulsive. And I think that, the way that Adam Newman, Rebecca Newman acted is also a little bit repulsive. And to be honest, it's not giving me any satisfaction to kind of live through that again. Even though the show is quite good, entertaining, well-produced, great acting, very faithful character representation, it's something that was just kind of like putting me in a bad mood and bringing me down, so I put it aside. But for me, it's a strong mooch. Again, unless you're really, really passionate about WeWork and want to see the story, I would not pay money for Apple TV Plus only for this. But if you are for example, if you're a tenant of WeWork, if you've kind of heard the story but haven't seen all the details or heard of all the exorbitant expenses and lifestyle and stuff like that, okay, go for it. You'll enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching it. I know the story of the business side of the story, right? As you and I actually, you actually clocked me onto it maybe 3 years ago about it, and it's something that I've been looking at since. I am also aware of some of the personal stuff that happened during, but I don't know full details, so I am looking forward to watching it. But I have to appreciate that, you don't like it because of how repulsive they are, not because the show is bad, but how repulsive those people are.
Yeah.
Which to me, even if I don't like it, that's good. In terms of acting, that's got to be pretty decent then.
I absolutely agree. I appreciate the acting. There's a few shows like this that not all of them are based on a true story. Some of them are entirely fiction, but just kind of the subject matter that they deal with is so either dark or disappointing that I catch myself saying, wow, I love this show, but why, when I'm done with the show, am I feeling so negative?
Yeah.
And one of them was Homeland, which I thought is such a good show. And I actually like the whole cast in that show. Homeland was always bringing me down. As someone who used to live in DC, especially, I would get done with that episode and I just felt like everything was so negative and corrupt and scary and double crossing. I was just like, I just don't want to watch this anymore. Even though I like it, it's just when I'm done, I'm not a happier person. So I had to kind of just step away from Homeland, and I felt the same thing from We Crashed. Funny thing though, can we just make one observation? You and I watched Winning Time about the Los Angeles Lakers.
Yeah.
On HBO Max. And we discussed and laughed about how it seemed like everybody from those Laker teams was coming out and saying, hey, we want to sue HBO. We're going to the Supreme Court. They've damaged our reputation.
Right.
Now, We Crashed came out. Notice you haven't heard anything from the Newmans, probably because they have so many criminal and civil lawsuits against them. But in terms of portraying people negatively, this intentionally does so. So
I think that's I think it's also probably because there's lots of maybe evidence against them, right? So
it's
but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's more of a depiction of the legal case against them, and obviously brings in their personal life. Okay.
So last couple things.
Last one. You know, we've got to talk about our guilty pleasures.
Yes. So just before we get to that, I'm not sure if you're aware of it, but if you are, Love, Death, and Robots, have you heard of this show?
I have. Is it good? It's on Netflix.
It is. It's a Netflix exclusive. I highly, highly, highly recommend the series overall.
Really?
In fact, I don't even know why I've miswritten it on here. I think Love, Death, and Robots is a must subscribe.
Wow. I'm going to watch it today. I will watch it today.
All of Love, Death, and Robots is, if you remember, it's very, very quick. It's a series of animated shorts. So it's not one story.
Oh.
It's like maybe in every season, I think there's like maybe 10 episodes or 12 episodes a season. It's an anthology of small shorts, all animated. And each animated short has like its own like mini plot that it goes through. They're all almost all of them are excellent. And because they're such short vignettes of stories, you can kind of watch them like disposable, disposable episodes. You can watch them 5, 10, 15 minutes each, and that's it. Very, very short. I think you'll really like it. There's some good stories. And then the last thing is Star Trek Picard. I saw it. I think we need to do a proper episode on that because I think you're also a sci-fi guy. So we can discuss that separately. But let's talk about the star of today's episode. What are our guilty pleasures?
Oh, this is going to hurt us both. We're putting it out there, but we have discovered something called Workin Moms, which is a Canadian comedy. I've been watching it on Netflix, right?
Yes, that's right.
And it's all Canadians. Apparently there's 6 seasons of this. It's exactly what it sounds like. 3 or 4 different moms, all with families and young children, go through all the kind of trials and tribulations of balancing motherhood and stuff. A lot of breastfeeding jokes and stuff like that. For you and me, Pete, that don't fit into this demographic at all, it's strange that we're watching it and we both think it's kind of growing on us, right? I mean, it's pretty funny. It's Canadian humor, it's mom humor, it's all that other stuff, right?
I have to say, I can't explain it at all, but I love it. For whatever reason, I'm a huge fan. It's something that I always want to see more of it.
Yeah.
And I can't stop myself for whatever reason.
Yeah. They're 30-minute episodes. They're short episodes. They're extremely funny. I mean, it's not just Canadian humor. They're very, very funny, ladies. That's our guilty pleasure, but it stemmed out of my other guilty pleasure. Maybe more guilty. Mrs. Fletcher, which I watched on HBO Max, which is Catherine Hahn. Mm-hmm. And Catherine Hahn, the last time I saw her was on The Shrink Next Door. Yep. But this is also a little bit similar where it's empty nester mom. Her son goes off to college and she's divorcee and she's got kind of like some, just trying to find herself in the dating scene and the single life scene. Again, it's super weird. I think that I am interested in this and Slow Horses and Love and Robots and all the other like sci-fi stuff that, is usually my bread and butter. But again, it's an easy watch. It's kind of funny. And, it's just something new that keeps me entertained. So if anyone's looking for something different, off the beaten path, you can only have probably so much sci-fi and intrigue in your life. Workin' Moms, Mrs. Fletcher, definitely they're mooches, in my opinion, but you'll enjoy them.
Yeah, I agree. So I haven't watched Mrs. Fletcher yet, but I'm through the last season of Working Moms, so I will watch Mrs. Fletcher too. But that stays between us, guys.
I hope Michael Bay's not listening, because this is gonna
this is gonna
undermine our break for Vessel. Yeah.
Speaking of which, Undermine, also a great potential title for this movie, right? We can have like sea mines underneath the ship.
Not a bad idea. Undermine, yeah.
Yeah. Ethan, even when you don't realize it, you're always thinking.
Okay, so we've got two working titles: Undermine or Vessel.
Yeah.
Sounds
perfect.
Good.
So that was our very, very, very quick fire review on these like 11 or 12 movies and TV shows.
Yep.
Again, we give you
There's
our
some
scores
keepers out there.
because
There's some keepers out there. Yeah.
There are
but it's hard to
definitely
watch
some
10
keepers out
things. Yeah.
And it's, we probably don't want to necessarily do a full hour-long recap of these shows or movies, but it's definitely something, it's definitely worth you watching them or not watching them based on what we've said about.
Absolutely. We wish everyone happy viewing, and we hope that this has helped you with our scoring system. Pete, we've got some work to do. I've got to check out Picard. I've also got to check out Love and Robots. You've got to check out, I don't know what you've got. I think there's still a few things on your list. I've also got to
Crashed.
check out.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yep. So we'll do that, and we'll regroup next week.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for your time, Ethan.
Thank you, Pete. Have a great day, listeners.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Films and Stuff. If you haven't already, please subscribe and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are downloaded. Films and Stuff. There is no substitute.